Hello and welcome to Experience Credit Chat Live podcast. The Credit Chat Live is an extension of our weekly credit chats, which take place every Wednesday on X and highlight a different personal finance topic that matters to everyone. This podcast is an opportunity to take a deeper dive into these important topics with one of our expert panelists. My name is Christina Roman, and I'm the Consumer Education and Advocacy Manager at Experian, and I'm serving as today's host of Credit Chat Live. Now, this is a bit of a special edition because we're joined once again by women's finance champion Cary Carbonaro. Cary is an award-winning certified financial planner with over 25 years of experience. She is the managing wealth advisor and the Women in Wealth ambassador at Ashton Thomas, where she leads a multi-million-dollar financial planning practice focused on empowering women. Cary is the best-selling author of The Money Queen's Guide and her newly launched book, Women in Wealth, a playbook to empower clients and unlock their fortune, which offers actionable strategies for better serving women in financial services. A respected industry voice, she's been named to Investopedia's top 100 financial advisors list 6 times and is the only female member of the 2024 NASDAQ Advisor Council. Through speaking, media appearances, and advocacy, Cary champions financial literacy and female empowerment. Welcome back, Cary, and congratulations on the launch of your new book. I'm so excited.
Thank you so much. I know, I'm so excited to be here with you.
Yes. So, as I mentioned in the intro, your first book was titled The Money Queen's Guide for Women Who Want to Build Wealth and Banish Fear. And this book was geared toward consumers, right? It was geared toward women who are managing their money. And now you came out with this next book, Women in Wealth, a playbook to empower clients and unlock their fortune. And this is geared toward advisors and the financial industry. Can you share a little bit about what inspired you to write this book?
Sure. So it's interesting because both books, I had terrible life experiences. And then when I came out on the other side of the terrible life experiences, I felt the need to write the book, which is kind of interesting because there's 10 years between the books, which is a very long time. But so my first book, when I wrote it, I had just come out of a terrible divorce. And I said, I need to write a book about so that women don't have to go through what I went through, and they can learn from some mistakes of me and of my clients. And mine was all related to my divorce. And so I wanted to share that. So this book, I had just come out of a situation where my firm was sold. So I was at United Capital and my firm was sold to Goldman Sachs, which was a terrible experience for me, and absolutely horrible, soul-crushing experience for me. And unfortunately, I lost at least 4 years of my life with that experience, from being able to speak or write or go on social media or anything. So I lost my voice for almost 4 years. And then unfortunately, I wound up at the wrong firm on the other side of that transaction because everybody thought I was getting sued by Goldman Sachs. And so I wound up at the wrong firm. And then I moved my clients for the fourth time in 5 years. And I said, I've got to write a book about this and what happened and why and my experiences. And, my life's purpose is to help women become financially free and have more money and power, and money equals power, and women need more of both. And so this book is, okay, there's some really things wrong with the industry itself. Wealth management was created by men for men, and they're really not serving women well, or certainly to the best of their ability. So in my experience, I wanted to share all my knowledge about working with women, industry facts, supporting everything that I talk about. I have lots of research. I have a lot of case studies. I have a lot of data. It's a hugely impactful book on, if I was a financial professional, how should I be working with women? And I want to change the entire industry to make it female friendly for women, and not have women say all the horrible things about what they do say about their experiences with our industry.
Wow. Yeah. So this sounds like it also could empower women that want to be in the financial services industry, investors, financial advisor industry, maybe dealing with the same issues or similar issues to what you went through as well. So not just how they can help their clients, but also maybe it's something that they could relate to that maybe they haven't been able to address previously.
Well, and another thing is interesting because I really thought that this book was more for males than females. However, females are very attracted to this book. And there's more female interest in the book than there is male interest in the book. And Kerry Hannon from Yahoo said this book is for regular women as well who want to read about what their relationship should look like with a financial advisor. So I didn't even think about that as another complete audience that wasn't originally in my sphere of what I wrote the book for.
I love that because I think it can be intimidating trying to figure out a financial advisor to work with, what that relationship should look like. So I love that this could be kind of a blueprint for them as well.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about some of the unique financial challenges faced by women in your experience. Now, without giving too much away, can you share a couple of the challenges that you highlighted in your book?
Sure. Well, I'm going to talk about just challenges for women in general, right? So, women in wealth management, or women who are wanting to save for their retirement and be financially free. So, we've got two different things. So, let's talk about the women who want to save for their retirement and be financially free at some point in their lives, right? So, the first thing is that women are going to control 2/3 of the nation's wealth by 2030. So the stats are completely overwhelming about how much money is going to be in the hands of women, which is why my industry needs to change to support them, because they are the clients of the future. They're my clients now, but they are also the clients of the future for all wealth management firms. So women, have these are the strikes that women have against them. We have the pay wage gap, 82 cents on the dollar. We have the wealth gap, which winds up to be $1 million over a woman's lifetime for being out of the workforce for caregiving, having children, raising children, and then taking care of parents. All of
Mhm.
that falls on women. So that's a huge amount of money that is lost when a woman is out of the workforce. They retire with 2/3 less than men. Social Security is less than men because they don't have the same earnings. We have incredible longevity.
Mhm.
Women live a really long time. I always say you could be retired longer than you actually worked. And when I
Oh,
say that, people are like, wow, that's mind blowing. But it's true. I mean, you could be working for 40 years, you could be retired for 45. So it's just a matter of, the math. So I believe that women, need to do more planning than men, not less planning. Then we also have the fact that women do have a confidence gap when it comes to investing and financial literacy for women. It's not that they're not smart. It's not that they're not capable. It's just that they're most of the time not interested in it, and they really think somebody else is going to take care of it for them. So I want every woman to own her own financial future.
mm,
Another thing that women have is $250,000 extra in retirement healthcare costs, because women are more complicated and a lot of things are not covered by insurance. For example, anything related to menopause right now, it's very hard to get covered under insurance. If you're going to do hormone replacement therapy or anything related to that, most of the time not covered. And so there's
wow.
a couple companies that are covering that, but it's far and few between. Electra is one of them that covers it. So it's very interesting because, you've got all that. And then also the fact that women in general are more conservative than men, just because they don't want to lose money, and they really just want to be educated on the ups and downs of the stock market, and what asset allocation is and all those kind of things. So women, if you teach them, they will invest over time. And what I always say to my clients is you can't afford not to invest, because you need to outpace inflation. You need to cover this, 40 plus year retirement. You have to do this because you're going to be eventually responsible for it for yourself anyway. And also a lot of women sometimes put others before them. So
Mhm.
sometimes they put their children before them, they put their spouse before them, and they don't invest their own money because they're giving it to the children, or things like that. I've seen that a lot, or pulling money out of retirement to pay for what the child wants or whatever. Even adult children, I see that all the time.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's a combination of all of these things why women need more help with planning than less. So
Gosh.
every woman should know what their financial plan looks like, and also not necessarily rely on their spouse, because there's a highly likelihood that you're going to outlive your spouse, which means you're going to be responsible for it at any time, at one time in your life, no matter what, anyway. So you might as well do it now. I always say, come to me when the sun is shining. Don't come to me when it's raining, because it's harder then. I get clients who come to me when a death, a divorce, a disability, a job loss, like all just horrible, emotional, negative things. And it's just harder to deal with another thing on your plate at that moment in time. It's easier when you come if the sun is shining, and then you can have a plan in place.
I love
So,
that tip. Yes, because that's when you typically want to. I find that when we're at Experian, when people come to us, is when they're at a pain point with their credit, right?
mhm,
It's not when everything is going great that they're messaging us or they're pinging us on social media. It's when they have an issue. So I love that. Come to me when the sun is shining. That's such great
mhm.
advice. I also love what you talk about women's health. That's the menopause issue is something that my mother has expressed frustration over, of finding coverage and getting access to things, because I think it's such new. Well, it's not new, but there's so much more research out there now than there was before.
Yes.
Um, and then also, you brought up an interesting point in how women, they tend to be more caregiving. They tend to put others before themselves, and especially now we're seeing trends where young adults are living with their parents longer. um, Also, in the current economic climate, when you're seeing the stock market go, up down, take such crazy dips and then go back up, it can be a little bit scary to
Mhm.
want to put your money there, want to invest. Any advice that you would give to somebody that is listening that may be going through some of these experiences?
Yes. So it's interesting because when the VIX, which is the volatility index, gets over a certain number, and usually it's around 40 or 50, that's when ultimate fear comes in, and people just like, heart races, it's going to zero, I'm losing all my money. um, the actuality is that's not going to happen. It's never happened. If you look at the history, we go back to 1900, and you can look at a graph or an Ibbotson chart, and it almost looks like a straight line up. And so I like to point out the moments in history. Like, I like to take that chart and show women, here's 9/11, here's the great oil embargo of the 70s, here's the flash crash of in the 90s, here's the 9/11, here's the financial crisis of 08, 09, here's COVID. And you could see, like, you can barely see it on the screen, but yet when you're in it, it feels like the whole world is collapsing around you. But if you zoom out and you take a 10-year view and you say, oh my gosh, this is, honestly, if you look at it that way, it's a great buying opportunity. And so all my really wealthy clients are like super excited when the market's falling, because they're like, I'm getting in at a lower price.
Mm-hmm.
And so, which is the complete opposite of what everybody else is thinking. Everybody else is thinking, oh my gosh, it's the worst time to invest. I actually think it's the best time to invest. So
Mm-hmm.
if you do what the opposite of what the herd is doing, you're going to actually profit over time. It's super scary. And I
Yes.
understand that. I'm actually one who's going in when those crazy down days are happening.
Yeah.
I always look at it as a buying opportunity, for a long term. And so, again, super long term. And if you're looking at the charts of the last 100 years, even 50 years, even 25 years, you can still see all those numbers. And that, if you're in a balanced portfolio, stocks and bonds and a little bit of everything, there's never been a period where people have lost money in the stock market, except if you were in an individual stock that went bankrupt, or you were in a Ponzi scheme, and none of which is happening under my watch. But
Yeah.
in general, that's what people have to worry about.
Yes. Oh, that's such great advice. Thank you for that. Yeah, it definitely can be scary, but you're right. That's the time that you want to get in, right? When everything is low, and then you can kind of ride it. And you do need to have that long term look. A lot. We're in like an instant gratification society where
Hmm.
we just want to see that growth in wealth right away, but it takes
Yes.
time, and that's the whole point of it. You need to give it
Well,
the
I
time.
always say there's no get rich quick, there's only get rich slow. I
Hmm.
mean, everybody talks about the get rich quickers and, somebody bought Bitcoin or I don't know, who knows, or bought Apple back in the day or, found the next Amazon or, and help. But, even that, you're still holding it for like 20, 25 years before it, becomes something.
Yes.
So again, no get rich quick, only get rich slow. And
All right.
everybody can do that.
So that's such great advice. Okay, so no get rich quick, only get rich slow, and come to me when the sun is shining. I love these tips. Okay, so let's talk about the industry, because that's kind of what this book is tackling, right? So you're
Mhm.
specifically calling out unconscious bias and what you call bro culture. Can you expand on what that is?
Sure. So unconscious or implicit bias, both of them are the same. There's actually a quiz in there that you could do from Harvard Business School, and it is your unconscious reaction to whatever your world is colored about. So, you know, you don't know what you don't know. And that's what unconscious and subconscious bias is, right? Or implicit bias. So you could be not even realizing that you're having a conversation with a client and you're ignoring the woman because the man is nodding and the woman is zoning out, and you're just, okay, well, he's interested, she's not, I'm talking to the one who's interested.
Hmm.
However, you are completely turning that woman off and you don't even know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So I want people to realize and uncover their blind spots that they have with women. And it's interesting because the stats are that women leave their advisor when the husband dies or when they get divorced. It's 70 to 90% of the time. I don't even know where they get those numbers from, but it's probably it. So let's split the difference and say it's 80% of the time. So you're going to lose the client. You're going to lose your woman client when the spouse dies or they get divorced because for a million reasons. You didn't build a relationship with her. She didn't feel heard. She didn't feel valued. You never asked her what she wanted. You didn't talk about her goals. You only talked about, Sharpe ratio and beating the S&P 500. You're not talking about things that matter to the woman client.
Hmm.
So I have a whole bunch of things to do to change what you're doing to make it female friendly for women. And there's also a quiz in my book, which is from Kathleen Kingsbury's book. And it's how female friendly is your practice. And it's a 20-question test and it goes through. So again, to uncover these blind spots that you don't know that you have. And I have a lot of people doing it and saying, wow, I didn't even realize that. I didn't realize like that I would should have a separate meeting with my female client, that I should be talking about um, asking her questions specific to her, not related to what I'm asking the man. I should be talking about um, changing my language because women are processing it differently than men, and not at all that women are not smart as men. Women are
Hmm.
more verbal than men, so women need more talking, more communicating, and also they're not necessarily interested in Sharpe ratios and jargon and all that stuff. It kind of turns them off, and they'd rather talk about, what does this money mean to me? What is this going to be for the rest of my life? Does this mean I can, not be a bag lady? Does this mean I can, you know, my children can go to the college that I want? Does it mean I can uh, buy a second home? What does this mean to me? Does this
Hmm.
mean that I don't have to worry about money and I can sleep at night? It's not about what's my percentage terms in and what's my alpha and beta.
Yes.
They don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care, and I'm a financial advisor.
Hmm. Yeah, they want to see how the steps that they're taking now are going to help them accomplish a greater goal or achieve that dream that they
Exactly.
had.
Exactly. It's about tying to what's important to them. And there's a whole bunch of stuff related to women of what women are interested in. Like, if you ask women, are you interested in a values-based portfolio? I would say most of my clients, a majority of my clients would say yes.
Hmm.
Now, I ask male advisors, do you talk about values-based investing with your women clients? And they're like, no. And I said, why? And they said, well, they never expressed any interest in. And I said, but they don't even know what it is.
Hmm.
They don't even know what values-based investing is.
Yeah.
And really, then that's a whole other issue because that's considered ESG, which is out of favor right now. But that's why it needs a new name and it should be called values-based investing rather than ESG, which is environmental, social, governmental, which is,
Yes.
again, not in favor right now.
Yes, right now, but I have seen that a lot of Gen Z is is favoring values-based investing and sustainability investing. So at least getting in the practice of having those conversations now will help
Right,
you to better address that audience when it comes
right,
time to work with them and help them manage wealth because they're going to be a bulk of the wealth carriers in the future.
right. And then another thing too is on the communication side. There's a lot of sports analogies in wealth management, which is great because the guys love them. However, we got to change up the analogies for women. And
Yeah.
so I talk about comparing shoes to asset classes, and women absolutely love it because they really understand the difference of why a shoe would be, why you would need a functional shoe, a different shoe for different events. And that's the same thing for, and I compared it to asset classes. And then my other girlfriend uses spices and recipes to asset
Mm.
classes. So again, super female friendly. Women love it. They get it, they understand it, and it's a great way to bridge the gap of knowledge of esoteric what is an asset class.
Yeah, yeah, I love that breaking it down. And so that sports analogies kind of goes back to that bro culture
Hmm.
that you mentioned, right?
Right. And so actually to talk about the bro culture. So, it's again, industry was created by men for men. It is what it is. And right now, our industry is 80% men, 20% women. So we've always been skewed. It's much more difficult for a woman to be in the profession, even though we need more of us. And that's another whole thing that I hope the book brings more women into the profession. But, when my chapter on bro culture is actually bro culture and lawsuits, and I
Mm.
lay out all the lawsuits related to against uh, class action lawsuits against the firms on the gender side. And so
Oh,
there's, a whole bunch of stuff related to that. And I mean, some of them go back to the 80s and 90s. So, I mean, I hope we've evolved beyond that. But, I talk about, I grew up in Long Island and I talk about the Smith Barney Boom Boom Room. And that was a huge lawsuit in the 90s where, crazy stuff was happening. It's right in my backyard. So it's like part of our zeitgeist of growing up that it was always like strippers and things like that in the conference room.
oh
So
wow.
I think we've passed that, but it's still in the DNA of the industry. So we're not really, we're a little bit past it, but I don't know how much.
Yeah, yeah. So okay, so for anybody that reads your book, what is your vision for advising for women in the future? Like, what do you hope this will inspire? What would you
So
like to see?
what I would like to see is that this completely change the industry. I want the industry to change to accommodate women. And since women are the future clients, it's a business, it's an incredible business opportunity. Women are going to control 30 trillion dollars by 2030 and 48 trillion, no, sorry, 54 trillion dollars by 2048. So I mean the numbers are staggering. So
Mhm.
I want this book to literally change the industry to make it more female friendly so that women don't feel isolated. There's another study that was done out, it was Harvard Business Review 2009, that said financial services industry is the least sympathetic to women and has the most to gain if they get it right. So here we are on the precipice of this huge, great wealth transfer, and we are not ready because we have not changed anything. So I would like everything to change so that the language changes, the experience changes. Women don't feel isolated or alone, and they feel like they're supported in their meetings with their advisors and their firms. So I'm asking for a lot.
Yeah. Now, I think this should not just come from the financial services industry, but also women advocating for themselves when
Mhm.
they're sitting in those chairs. Women like asking, "Can you break that down for me? Can you explain this better for me because I'm not quite understanding what you're saying?" So, what advice do you have for women who are in the process of wanting to work with a financial advisor? How can they advocate for themselves and how can they ensure that this advisor is actually working in their interest as well as their partners?
Well, I have two thoughts on that. One is women have incredible intuition, right? And so I feel like that a woman should trust her own intuition. If she feels good, it's probably good. If she feels bad, something's wrong and she needs to make a change. So
Hmm.
that's the first thing. Second thing is I would love to make sure that you're working with a CFP board certified, which is there's 100,000 in the United States, and also that they're a fiduciary, which means all the advice they give you is in the best interest of the client. You know, they're not selling you anything, they're not trying to sell you anything, they're giving you advice, you're paying for advice versus selling a product. So, and there's nothing wrong with selling a product. It's just you need to know that you're being sold a product. Like, and most of the time people don't know, and people don't know the difference.
Yeah.
So, I think that, you know, you have to make sure that the person, and I feel like that you can tell if the person is on the same side of the table as you, and you should trust your instincts with that.
Hmm. Yes. So listen to that gut. Listen to your intuition and if that advisor doesn't seem to be working in your favor, maybe it's time to move on. You don't have to stick to that first person that you find. You can look around. And I think it's a testament to your service that your clients followed you for four transitions.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Everybody that hears that usually falls out of their chair who's an advisor because nobody would want to do that. Nobody would
Yeah.
want to believe me. I feel terrible that I had to do it and I had to take my clients through that, but it was just the situation because of the sale and oh, it was a
Yeah.
mess.
But it's a testament to you. And I can tell that you really care about your clients and you want to ensure that they have the best service when they're working with you. And that's why they would follow you.
Exactly.
All right. So I want to get into a few rapid fire questions. This has been a really fantastic interview. You've shared so much great information. I really appreciate you being here. Um, if you could give one piece of advice to a woman listening to this podcast about managing her financial health, what would it be?
I want you to own it yourself. So whatever that means you're responsible for your own financial future, regardless of or irregardless of if you have a spouse or not. But you can stand on your own 2 feet financially, and you know enough to be able to own your own destiny. Meaning, you know you have a plan in place. If something happens to your spouse, you're still going to be okay. That is really important to me, that every woman can do that for herself. It's
Yeah.
really uh, it's like the whole reason that I do what I do.
Absolutely. I think I don't know if I've told you before, but I had a friend, a colleague whose husband passed away while she was at work, and she did not have access. I mean, on top of it being obviously a horrific situation, she did not know how to access her bank accounts. She didn't
Oh
know
no.
where the money was, what bills he paid. He managed everything. And so just even having access, even knowing those passwords, knowing what your finances looks like is so important because you just never know.
It's absolutely so true. I mean, we don't want to plan for the worst, but you should at least be aware that if something, you know, because unfortunately we're not all living forever.
Hmm.
We all would love to, but we have to plan that, you know, sometimes life events are going to change things. And so if we can do even a little bit of planning in advance, we're going to be so much better off than doing it when it's raining.
Yes. What is one surprising fact you learned while writing this book?
So I believe the biggest surprise was the disconnect between women's financial power and the industry serving them is bigger than I imagined. Like the
Mm,
chasm between women controlling all this money and the industry not serving them is wide. It
wow.
should be like this. It's like
Yeah.
this.
So they've got a lot of work to do.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I think your book is going to help with that. Where can our listeners find your new book?
So, well, I have it right in front of me. There I
It's a beautiful
am.
book.
No, so you can get it on anywhere where retailers sell it, but it's Amazon, Barnes and Noble. If you go to carycarbonaro.com/books, I have a list of all the retailers that are selling it. You can just click on it and find whichever one you prefer. Lots of some indie bookstores too, because I know a lot of people love independent bookstores.
Yes. And if you're interested in that Money Queen's Guide, definitely take a look at that as well. But check out this new book, Women in Wealth, because I think hopefully it's going to lead to some really important change for us women.
Thank you.
All right, Cary, thank you so much for joining us. Do you want to share really quickly where any of our listeners can find you if they want to learn more about you?
Sure. Easy to find. I'm the only Cary Carbonaro on the planet, so it's a very easy name to find. If you can spell it, it's like the pasta but with an O, and Cary is Cary. So I have LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, um, X, and my website is all carycarbonaro.com or just at Cary Carbonaro. So I'm really easy to find.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you're able to speak now to share your stories. We've had you on our credit chat on X, and I'm so grateful that you're able to now be a part of these conversations after you manage that horrific move.
Thank you so much. Happy to
All
be on
right.
the other side.
Yes, definitely. We're happy to have you. All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Credit Chat Live. We hope that you learned a lot. You can always find us on X every Wednesday at 12 o'clock Pacific, 3 o'clock Eastern Time, where we cover different personal financial topics. And we have wonderful experts like Cary joining these conversations. Stay tuned for our next episode. Have a great day.